Sometimes when people make videos, they go over the top with their descriptions of what's happening in the world. But I think to say that what's happening in Western Europe, in the USA, and really all over the so-called civilized world is comparable with what happened in Germany in the 1930s is a very, very accurate statement. What we saw at the weekend on that monstrous hellfest that used to be, well, I don't know what you'd really call the Eurovision Song Contest, because it was never really about great music. However, it used to be a bit of light entertainment and fun, and then it got more and more perverse and bizarre as the years have gone on. And I think this Saturday's performances topped it all. You had what appeared like a gay rape or a gay orgy in some sort of toilet or shower block. You had Satanism paraded as entertainment, and you had blatant, outright anti-Semitism for days in Malmo, led by the doom goblinette herself, Greta the Great. That's where we're at. That is Western culture and Western civilization. It's frightening. And this is the thing. The left are one of the main drivers behind this. We have the Islamists, and we have the communists, and we have the fascists. But the fascists are very small in number and totally irrelevant. The problem that we've got is, in this country, in the United Kingdom, the left are going to be in power very, very soon. In the Republic of Ireland, the left are already in power. In Northern Ireland, the left are in power in the form of Sinn Féin, and of course the appalling and disgusting Alliance Party and all their minions in the Ulster Unionist Party. All left-wing, all progressive, all buy into all this garbage. They're all anti-Semitic to the core. That's the shocking thing about this. That's the shocking thing. What's happening in Western civilization is pure and simple anti-Semitic. It's Jew hatred. They claim that they're anti-Zionist. Well, every single Jew I know is a Zionist. I'm not a Jew, and I'm a Zionist as well, because I believe that the Jewish people, I believe the Bible gives them the right, but I also believe moral law gives them the right to have their own homeland in the Middle East after what happened to them for the last 1,000 years or more, 1,400 years, if we're going to be right. In fact, 2,000 years if we look at what happened in 70 AD when the Jews were carried off into captivity and their city was destroyed by the Romans. But that's history, and of course, very few people understand history or know anything about history, or know that the Jewish people have been in the land of Israel for at least 3,500 years. More, if you believe the Bible and you believe what the Bible says. And you look at Abraham, you look at Isaac, and you look at Jacob. But of course, that's far too complicated for the leftists to get their heads around, because one, they don't believe it. And what we're seeing here, and I've talked about this on so many occasions, but it is now so obvious that we are involved in a battle very similar to what happened in the Second World War. We are involved in a battle between good and evil, between the forces of darkness, that's the communists, that's the Islamists, that's the globalists, and that's the fascists. Between that great army of darkness and the army of light, and the army of civilization, and the army of Christendom, and the army of Judeo-Christian heritage and Judeo-Christian culture and Judeo-Christian religion. You see, people have got to understand that what is good in this world came from our Judeo-Christian heritage. When Christianity arrived on this shore, we were hitting each other over the head with clubs, raping, pillaging and murdering. When the Anglo-Saxons came to England, they raped, they pillaged, they murdered until they got civilized by Christianity. When the Vikings came, it was exactly the same. And what Christianity has done in the last 2,000 years is brought civilization and peace. Yes, there have been wars in the name of Christianity. Of course there have. Yes, there's been heresies. Yes, the Reformation happened and there was a huge amount of bloodletting, no doubt about it. But when you get down to the core of the teachings of Jesus and you put them up against the teachings of anybody else, when you get to the core of the teachings of Deuteronomy, and you look at the love of God for his people, the covenant between man and God, and then the covenant that flows out between fellow men living in society, living in civilization. And that is where Western civilization has come from. It's come from the Old Testament and the New Testament. And that's what we talk about when we talk about Judeo-Christian heritage. And that has been squandered. In the last 150 years, it's been mocked, it's been pilloried, it's been damaged. 10, 20 years ago, we had the new atheists. Most of them are converted to Christianity. The ones that haven't died and gone to hell are converting to Christianity now. So this is a battle between good and evil. This is a battle between darkness and light. And I firmly believe that our movement, and when I'm talking about our movement, I'm talking about Tommy, I'm talking about all the other people on our side that believe the stuff that we believe. Calvin Robinson, Lawrence Fox, name them, Sargon. You can rhyme them all off. The vast majority of them believe. We all believe the same things. We all believe in freedom. We all believe in liberty of conscience, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of assembly. And we all stand against tyranny. And what we're seeing at the minute, certainly in the United Kingdom, is mob rule. The police, the Metropolitan Police, will not take on the Islamists. They will not take on the communists and all their fellow travellers, whether they call themselves communists or not. They will not stand against them. They will not stop them. They are letting them run roughshod over democracy. They're mobbing universities. They're mobbing businesses. They're calling for boycotts on anybody that supports Israel in any way, shape or form. And this is pure anti-Semitism. Can you imagine if we started saying, well, listen, if you support Pakistan, and Pakistan's involved in all sorts of skullduggery and goings on in Afghanistan, and it's interfered in that country and thousands of people have been killed, so we're going to boycott Pakistan. Can you imagine the uproar? Or boycott Pakistani businesses or people that support Pakistan? Can you imagine the uproar? We'd be called racists. We'd be called Islamophobes. And quite rightly so, because men that own that own businesses that are Pakistani, they shouldn't be boycotted, and neither should Jewish-owned businesses, and neither should businesses that support Israel or support the Jewish people. And that's what's going on. It is mob rule. It is very dangerous. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we're going to have a leftist Islamist alliance in power in this country at the next election, because I believe Keir Starmer will bend over backwards to get the Muslim bloc vote back. He'll bend over backwards to get that vote back. And if he doesn't get it back, well, then we're going to have Islamist MPs coming into Parliament anyway, I would imagine. A small number of them. So we are in extremely dangerous times. Not just in this country, in the United States of America, in Canada, Australia even. And what I want to know is, where have all the Islamists come from? Where have they all come from? We were told time and time again that the vast majority of people that come into this country are peaceful. They're just looking for a better life. So where have these hundreds of thousands of fanatics who probably never set foot in Israel, where have these fanatics come from? And why do they all support Palestine and the Palestinian cause? Could somebody answer that question? Because I'm bemused, because as far as I could tell, Pakistan's as far from Israel almost as the United Kingdom is. Would they not be better protesting about Kashmir or Afghanistan or some of the states in India that are oppressing Muslims? Or what about the Uyghurs in China? A lot closer to Pakistan than Israel and the Gaza Strip. So there's something very deep going on here. There's something very dark and very sinister. And we need to realise that when we're standing against it, we are in the right. And we may not win. I believe we will win. But even if we don't win, we'll be able to lie there on our deathbeds, or lie with an executioner's gun at the back of our head, which it might come to that, and say, I did what was right. I stood for truth. I stood for freedom. And I stood for justice. See you all soon.